Somewhere deep in the Pacific Command network, a silent file begins to move. No title, no sender, just a clearance level. Omega Black. Within minutes, encrypted signals ripple across the Navy's highest channels. Something has shifted, a presence detected, then erased. For months, analysts whispered of an experimental system, a carrier that isn't bound by water, a weapon that rewrites the limits of power projection. Now, the proof is surfacing, and the question inside the Pentagon is no longer if it exists, but who controls it.
The transmission had no origin, no timestamp, just a pulse, faint, rhythmic, almost biological. It appeared for 7 seconds, then vanished. But in those 7 seconds, America's most advanced naval network had been breached. At the Office of Naval Intelligence, alarms never sounded, only quiet screens, flickering blue, lines of code tracing across digital seas. It wasn't an attack, at least not one anyone could define. It was a presence, something watching, mapping, learning. For years, the Navy's cybersecurity units had trained for this. Simulations, false alarms, phantom data trails. But this was different. The signal came from coordinates that should have been empty, somewhere 600 nautical miles west of Guam, where no ship, satellite, or submarine was registered. Within minutes, the USS John Finn, a guided missile destroyer, was rerouted to investigate. Its orders were sealed, its comms restricted to a single encrypted channel. Only the captain and the Pentagon knew the purpose of their mission. When the destroyer arrived, the sea was unnaturally calm, the horizon colorless. Radar showed nothing, yet the sonar readings screamed of movement. A shape, vast and metallic, drifting far below. The first officer stared at the display, confused. The readings didn't match any known vessel. It was too large for a submarine, too slow for a carrier. It was something in between, an absence disguised as an object. At 0200 hours, the John Finn launched its first drone. The camera descended into blackness, light beams cutting through silt and silence. Then, a reflection, steel, angular, alive with faint light signatures. The drone circled, feeding the image to command. What they saw wasn't a wreck, it was construction, modular panels, retractable fins, and thermal activity still burning from deep within. The captain's voice trembled as he radioed back to Fleet Command. "Sir, we're not alone down here." The data reached the Pentagon before sunrise. By the time the first analysts reviewed it, 2 words were whispered across secure channels. Ghost platform. A structure the size of an aircraft carrier, hidden beneath the waves, capable of surfacing undetected. No nation had ever built such a thing, at least not officially. Some believed it was an experimental Chinese weapons platform abandoned after a failed project. Others suspected private contractors gone rogue, building weapons for whoever could pay. But one report stood out, a 6-month-old intercepted message from a Russian darknet forum. It mentioned an autonomous floating base, sold off the grid to an unidentified buyer. Price tag? $8 billion.
The discovery triggered a full-spectrum alert. Within 24 hours, the U.S. Navy deployed 3 reconnaissance submarines and 2 P-8 Poseidon aircraft to sweep the region. They found nothing. The signal was gone. The ocean had swallowed its secret again. But the data remained, a faint pulse, repeating every few hours, like a heartbeat echoing through the deep. At the Naval Command Center in Pearl Harbor, Admiral Reeves stared at the feed. He'd seen countless threats in his career. Insurgencies, cyber attacks, piracy, but never something like this. If someone's built this thing, he said, they don't want to be found. And if they don't want to be found, they're already ahead of us. That night, under the hum of cold fluorescent lights, the Pentagon convened a covert task force. Codenamed Project Trident, a joint intelligence operation led by the US Navy, the NSA, and a classified unit from the FBI's Cyber Division. Their mission: track the ghost, find out who built it, and stop it before it moved again. By dawn, Project Trident was alive. Inside a classified wing of the Naval Intelligence Center, monitors glowed like constellations in the dark. Analysts from the Navy, FBI, and NSA formed a single line of defense between order and chaos. Every data fragment from the Ghost platform was dissected, frequency by frequency, byte by byte. They were looking for a pattern. What they found instead was a trail, faint, encrypted, and scattered across 3 continents. The signal's digital fingerprint led to a shipping consortium registered in Singapore, Blue Meridian Holdings. On paper, it was a logistics firm specializing in ocean freight and maritime construction, but deeper scans revealed anomalies. Dozens of shell corporations, fake board members, and payment routes funneling billions through cryptocurrency exchanges. Hidden behind these digital walls was something older, more dangerous. A network of defense contractors, arms brokers, and former military engineers who had vanished from official records years ago. By midweek, an FBI cyber team traced one of the payment trails to a dormant account linked to a retired U.S. naval engineer, Commander Russell Kane. He had disappeared in 2018 after being accused of leaking classified propulsion blueprints. Now, his name resurfaced on a $74 million transfer connected to Blue Meridian. A quiet knock came at his door that night. The agents never got an answer. The house was empty, power lines cut, floorboards torn up. In the basement, they found something chilling: a wall of monitors still running. Each screen displayed live feeds from ports around the world: Rotterdam, Dubai, Shanghai, and Port Everglades.
Someone had built a shadow fleet beneath the system's nose, using American blueprints to manufacture autonomous maritime weapons outside any government's control. As the scope expanded, Trident's analysts discovered more encrypted transmissions, small bursts of data disguised as marine weather reports. When decoded, they revealed coordinates, shipping routes, dozens of them. Each one corresponded to cargo vessels with falsified manifests, carrying construction materials. But when naval satellites locked on, infrared scans showed internal heat signatures inconsistent with ordinary freight. Inside those containers, something was running: power sources, active systems, engines. Whatever the Ghost platform was, it was growing, piece by piece, shipped under the radar of every customs agency on Earth. The Navy deployed a reconnaissance drone over one flagged vessel, the MV Marisol, bound for Panama. From above, it looked like any other freighter, but beneath its hull, heat sensors revealed a massive metallic structure being towed underwater. The footage was clear enough to confirm a terrifying truth. The Ghost wasn't one structure, it was many. A fleet of modular platforms that could link together like a mechanical organism, forming a mobile base anywhere on the ocean. Inside the Pentagon, tension turned into alarm. Project Trident's command board glowed red with satellite locks and digital pings. Admiral Reeves issued new orders: "We stop this before it surfaces again." The next phase was activated: direct intervention. A covert team of Navy SEALs and FBI maritime agents would be dispatched to track the transport route, infiltrate the next cargo transfer, and expose whoever was orchestrating this operation. That night, as their aircraft crossed the Pacific, the Ghost platform sent another signal. Shorter this time, colder. A message in binary code that translated to a single phrase: "We see you." The hunters had become the hunted. Midnight, Pacific Ocean. Waves like black glass rolled under the moonlight as a C-130 gunship moved low across the clouds, running silent. Inside, 8 Navy SEALs and 2 FBI field operatives checked their gear in the red glow of the cabin lights. Their mission was simple on paper: intercept a cargo vessel believed to be part of the Ghost network. Its name, MV Calypso, registered in Liberia, owned by a shell company in Panama. But the signal trace from Project Trident placed it right in the middle of the South Pacific, miles from any shipping lane.
From the air, the Calypso looked dead. No AIS transponder, no running lights, no radar echo. Just a black hull drifting on the open sea. When the SEAL team dropped into the dark water, only the hum of their rebreathers broke the silence. Within minutes, they reached the hull, and what they saw through their night optics didn't match any known maritime design. reinforced titanium plates welded over standard cargo panels, heat exhaust ports submerged below the waterline, and what looked like satellite uplinks hidden under layers of paint. They climbed aboard. No crew, no sound. The deck was spotless, too clean for a freighter that size. Then, deep below, a low mechanical thrum. They followed it to the hold. The air changed, warm, and humming with static. Inside, the cargo bay had been converted into something out of a defense contractor's nightmare. A lattice of modular containers, each with power cables, cooling lines, and biometric locks. The FBI tech operative plugged into the nearest terminal. The screen flickered once, then filled with data strings, heat signatures, communication logs, and operating protocols labeled Project Hydra. The files revealed an autonomous maritime weapons grid, modular platforms designed to self-assemble at sea into mobile staging bases. Each segment carried AI-driven drones, undersea submersibles, and electromagnetic defense turrets. When combined, they formed a single floating fortress, a hybrid of ship, drone carrier, and command center. The Ghost platform wasn't a ship, it was a swarm. Then came the shock. Embedded within the code was a US military contractor signature, Titan Dynamics, a company dissolved 5 years earlier after a classified project failed in the Persian Gulf. The realization hit hard. This was stolen tech, American-made, re-engineered abroad and brought back home through black channels. Suddenly, the vessel shuddered. The engines roared to life. Someone, somewhere, had activated remote control. The SEALs scrambled to the deck as floodlights cut through the fog. On the horizon, 2 unidentified drones approached, fast, angular, and silent. The FBI agent sent a distress ping to Project Trident Command. Target is live. Hostile systems online. Admiral Reeves, watching from the Pentagon's Operations Center, issued an order that would never make headlines. If it moves beyond containment zone, disable it. Minutes later, a Navy submarine lurking 20 miles away received launch clearance. 1 Tomahawk missile, low and fast, streaked across the ocean surface toward the Calypso. The SEAL team barely made it out. As their extraction chopper lifted from the water, the missile struck. The blast lit the sea like daylight, a rising column of fire, vapor, and debris. But as the smoke cleared, the radar feed told another story.
Half of the vessel was gone, but half had already submerged. The Ghost was designed to survive. In the command center, silence hung heavy. The recovered data confirmed the worst. At least 5 more modules were already operational, scattered across the Atlantic and Indo-Pacific. And one of them, larger, newer, faster, was transmitting from just off the coast of Guam, within striking distance of U.S. naval routes. Admiral Reeves leaned over the table, voice cold and steady. This isn't a smuggling operation anymore. This is infrastructure. Someone is building an ocean you can't see, and we're already sailing through it. The operation shifted overnight. Operation Trident was no longer about investigation. It was containment. The hunt for the Ghost fleet had officially begun. At dawn, reconnaissance satellites caught the impossible. The Calypso's wreckage had vanished overnight. No debris, no oil trail, just thermal anomalies moving west beneath cloud cover. Within hours, NORAD tracked 3 unidentified signals crossing the Pacific. Not aircraft, not missiles, something new. Inside the Situation Room, the feed flickered. Infrared images of massive structures gliding through storm systems, silent and coordinated. Analysts called them aerial maritime platforms, unmanned carrier-sized drones
built to deploy smaller strike units. The blueprints matched fragments recovered from Hydra's servers. The Navy scrambled destroyers from Pearl Harbor. F-35 squadrons shadowed the signals at 60,000 feet. But before they could engage, the contacts simply disappeared. No radar return, no reflection. Gone. Admiral Reeves spoke quietly. "We're not looking at smugglers anymore. We're looking at someone testing war without borders." That night, a final encrypted message arrived from Langley. Hydra Phase 2, airborne activation complete. The president stared at the screen. "So it's not just the seas anymore." Reeves replied, "No, sir. The next battlefield just took flight."